Anyway, so everyone, welcome to the Digital Twins in Manufacturing. So this session, I think, is going to be interesting, quite interesting, because it's about digital twins and it's very popular these days. It's not new, obviously, digital twins, but now there's more kind of real developments or real deployments of digital twins in many areas. And particularly in the area of manufacturing, it's quite important, right? So this session is organized in the context of the DIH-World, right? And many of you might wonder, what is DIH-World? Okay, so I will tell you in a minute. Okay, it's a large European project, and it's in the area of manufacturing, for also DIH in manufacturing. Okay, so this is sponsored by DIH-World, and then we are CeADAR, which we are actually delivering, this and organizing the whole session, okay? And CeADAR, for those who don't know, it's the National Center in Ireland here for Applied Artificial Intelligence, and also the European Data Innovation Hub in AI in Ireland. Actually, we were appointed, I think, around 3 months ago. So we won a big award for that, and we are the only European DIH in AI in Ireland. So we are kind of the gate for all the companies to Europe in terms of DIHs and artificial intelligence. So who do we have today here? So I'm Ricardo, okay, and I'm the Director of Innovation and Development in CeADAR, right? And I'll be presenting the DIH-World project in a second. And then after that, hopefully, if she can join, we have Siobhan Fleming, and she's a collaboration manager at Siemens. She's a specialist in digital twins in the area of pharma. After that, we have Cathal Hoare there, who is a senior energy system researcher at IFORM. And IFORM is actually the SFI Center for Advanced Manufacturing here in University College Dublin as well. So he is very much an expert in digital twins, and I think for additive manufacturing mainly, but other things. So he'll be talking about that as well. Then after that, we have Adrian Mollett here, who is the senior commercialization manager at CeADAR. He will be explaining how CeADAR works and the services that we provide to all the ecosystem or industry ecosystem in Ireland, how we can help with adopting AI. And after that, we have the great John O'Gorman, who is the principal technology officer in the data science and cybersecurity team at S3 Connected Health. And she's dialing from Chicago today. So thank you very much, John, for that. And he'll be talking about digital twins in general in the health space. And after that, we have Dr. Sotiris Makris, who is the head of robotics, automation, and virtual reality in manufacturing at LMS, which is a laboratory in Greece, in University of Patras, and actually as well a Digital Innovation Hub. They have become a Digital Innovation Hub. And then he will be just telling us about the experience that they have in the area of Digital Innovation Hubs, Digital Innovation Hubs applied to digital twins in manufacturing and robotics. So that will be very interesting as well. And finally, we have Dr. Alireza Degani, who is the technical program manager in CeADAR, and he'll be talking about a particular lighthouse project that we have on AI for digital twins. And then after that, hopefully we'll have some time there for some questions and answers, okay? So without any more delay there, I don't know if Siobhan is there, I will go and present the DIH-World project, okay? So I don't know how many of you know what DIH is, Digital Innovation Hub, but Digital Innovation Hubs are these special entities like CeADAR who have been created to somehow apply the research, perform research, but apply this research for the benefit of SMEs and multinationals, benefit of industry. So there are DIHs in manufacturing, in health, in many areas. CeADAR just happens to be the DIH in artificial intelligence. So we were created by the government, particularly for this, to help SMEs, multinationals with the adoption of artificial intelligence. So there are many DIHs in Europe, right? And this project, there are many projects like that in Europe. For those who are not familiar with Europe, this project is trying, to bring together all the actors, all the DIHs, in Europe, for better collaboration amongst them, right? So this project is focused on manufacturing, okay? So what it's trying to do is just, let's put together all the DIHs, many DIHs in Europe, in the area of manufacturing, in the area of digitalization for manufacturing, in the area of AI for manufacturing. Let's make them collaborate to help SMEs with experiments so we can actually utilize the benefits or the good technologies or the good experience from multiple DIHs to better serve the SME community and the multinational community. For example, some DIHs might not be experts, I don't know, in generative AI, and then they partner with others to actually combine their expertise in delivering a project for an SME in Ireland, for example, right? But also there are DIHs in areas which are not very popular, right? Or they are not that advanced. So DIHs like CeADAR have been also more mature and participated with these other DIHs in other regions to upskill them as well and to help them. So the idea is that we create this community and we help each other, right? And in serving the SMEs. So that's the main objective of this multi-million euro project. This project is actually coming to an end at the end of this year or so. And as I was saying, the idea is that we just support all of these companies, but we actually respond to the need of these companies in terms of the technologies. So if CeADAR doesn't have a technology, maybe it pairs with another technology and we deliver this together, right? But also we support less mature DIHs, as in point 2 there. And the idea is that we have to consolidate this kind of network at European level of centers like CeADAR, so we are stronger together in Europe. The project started around 2 years and a bit ago, and it was led by CARSA and Innovalia, and there are other partners here, which are, let's say, the core partners. And then there were 27 digital innovation hubs, like CeADAR, right? Or LMS there in University of Patras. And we have been, well, all of these ones have been in 26 countries, which is a good spread over Europe. But also, we were actually inviting different SMEs as part of the consortium. One of them was Smart Factory in Ireland, and we were running different pilots just to see how collaboration between DIHs can actually better serve SMEs. So key concepts of the project. We have now generated a network of DIHs of more than 70 DIHs, actually 73 DIHs connected, which is quite strong, right? So how does it help? If you have any problem in the area of manufacturing, you want to access Europe, you want to access funding, you want to access knowledge, you can come to CeADAR as the gate in Ireland, right? To access Europe. And then we can leverage this large network and other networks, right? But particularly, we have access to these 73 DIHs as part of the DIH-World project, right? In the project, there was the DIH-World Academy, where we train each other, and the other people train DIHs to become more mature. And also, we were identifying the needs in terms of technologies of different SMEs. And as part of this as well, we run two open calls, which are very interesting. The problem is they are already closed, okay? In 2021 and 2022, we ran 2 open calls. We gave around 95,000 euros per SMEs for the ones who won the open call, right? And then we conducted a lot of experiments with the SMEs just to prove the value of collaborating together, right? And learn from these experiences. So the experiments in the first call, we started with 8 pilot experiments, right? Then we move on in the first open call with 36 experiments, 36 companies, okay? And then in April, 54 companies. So we channelized this money, okay, to all of them, and we help them, okay, as part of these experiments in, for example, adopting AI in particular manufacturing experiments or digitalizing in general. So the outcome has been very good. 54 experiments completed successfully, demonstrated, the power of collaboration and delivering, this value to all of them. This is how the network looks, okay? 73 data innovation hubs across Europe. So there's a lot of them, and the majority of them are specialized in manufacturing. So for example, if someone in Greece comes here, right, to LMS, they are the gate in Greece. There can be another ones, the Hellenic Fiber Hub, whatever, or a head, right? Some of them are more specialized in manufacturers, other in AI, other, for example, in a broad area in digitalization. They can come here, but they can access anyone here in this network as well to collaborate. For example, CeADAR, as you can see, is the one here in Ireland. So finally, at the moment, what is happening is just this today, we have the DIH-World Community Day on Digital Twins in Ireland. But across this week, from the 17th to the 28th, if you go to this link, there will be similar events in other parts of Europe, right? Celebrating this kind of community days where we open our gates and present, what is a digital twin and how we can access or help you find funding through this high or strong network. And then after that, we just have our own meeting. So I hope, it has been clear. So this is a strong, consortium, a project that has been running successfully. And that is not only just for us, for the DIHs, but also for the SMEs that are interested in getting help in how to leverage funding in manufacturing. So if you have any issue, you can go, and if you have any questions or you have any doubts, you can go into DIH-World.eu. But particularly if you want, contact us in CeADAR, contact me, contact anyone in CeADAR there, and then we'll get back to you, okay, with questions. We can help you leverage funding with projects in AI or manufacturing. So after this, now we have a very interesting set of speakers, as I was mentioning before. So let me check first, because do we have Siobhan Fleming now? Siobhan, are you there?
Hi, Ricardo. Yes, you do.
Very good. I was nearly having a heart attack, Siobhan, but
yes,
that's
I
okay.
nearly had one myself, so it's all good now.
I know. I was having an issue as well joining. So apologies for that, and thanks you're here. So if whenever you're ready, so as I said before, Siobhan Fleming is the collaboration manager at Siemens. She'll be talking about her experience, her expertise in digital twins applied to the pharma industry. So whenever you're ready, Siobhan, you can start sharing your screen and go ahead.
Okay. So I would like to, thank you, Ricardo, and thank you and your colleagues for giving me the opportunity to speak with you here today. The Digital Innovation Hub is a concept that's really important to me. I strongly believe that innovation, collaboration, and working together to identify challenges and solve them is really, really important. I need to update my LinkedIn profile. I was previously the collaboration manager with digital industries for Siemens in Ireland. I'm currently working with the pharmaceutical headquarters as of this year, and I'm responsible there for digital twin and everything related to pharmaceutical R&D. So for me, this conference in particular today is very special to be among people who recognize the importance of digital twin in manufacturing. So within Siemens, we help all industries to reliably manage their change and transformation through data, artificial intelligence, and so on. We do this by merging the virtual and the physical world with our digital enterprise portfolio. And as I say, I work within the pharmaceutical sector. So today I'm going to use that as a use case, I suppose, and an example of how we do that in practice. So the pharmaceutical and life science industry is facing many challenges, and there is a multitude of challenges. Among the most pressing challenges are ensuring that we reduce the time to market for new and existing drugs, that we ensure flexibility, achieve sustainability in all senses of that word, and achieve that through digitalization and industrial Internet of Things. It really is very important in the life sciences industry in particular to accelerate and scale the digital and sustainable transformation that we're working on to deploy flexible and open solutions across every phase of the life cycle. How we try to do that is by providing end-to-end solutions for the pharmaceutical and biopharmaceutical industry. We continuously develop and improve these to meet the changing needs of the industry. We work across the end-to-end value chain from R&D to primary and secondary manufacturing, and then on into distribution and eventually to the patient. In identifying what those needs are, we work closely with our corporate clients, some of whom you see listed here, and that's really a small subset of our overall client list, and these are the ones who qualify and who work with us on a corporate global account relationship level. We work also with industry strategic partners like Sartorius and BioNTech to develop specific solutions for the market. And in global networks like the ISPE, which many of you will be familiar with here, and also with BioForum, which is a thought leadership group and a standards development group within the biopharma industry. And as we talk about digital twin, I think we need to be conscious also that we don't see digital twin as a new shiny toy that we all want to go out and play with. We need to think about the why of what we're doing with our digital twin, what we want to twin, and what the purpose of that is. With the Siemens end-to-end solutions, our overarching aim is to close the gap between R&D and manufacturing, and to ensure that our patients all over the world can access life-saving therapies in that race against time. So through the collaboration, co-creations and forums that we participate in, we know and understand the key drivers and work with a number of focus topics within our group to meet the needs of the industry. These are, again, a subset of the technologies that we have available, but we continuously reassess, develop and improve on the technologies within those focus topics to ensure that we're staying aligned with the changing needs of the industry. As I said at the outset, my personal focus topic is digital twin and simulation, and looking at how we can apply the wide range of available solutions that we have to meet the pharmaceutical manufacturing and R&D industry needs. So how do we go then about merging the virtual and physical world? We started by discussing with our partners to understand what is a real digital twin for the pharmaceutical industry. And we came to a joint conclusion that it's a virtual and connected replica of the process or the product, or indeed of the plant, where we can understand the actual process, the operations happening within it, and simulate the future state of that process with the opportunity to optimize it and its performance. So we capture real-time data using the digital twin to understand the current, the future, and optimize. And the why of that is that it allows us to detect problems early. It allows us to carry out in silico testing, which is something that you'll see in some of the use cases that I'll show you in a few moments. It allows us to conduct real-time asset management and gives us overall improved control of the entire organization. So our digital twin approach is really comprehensive in that we look at the digital twin of the product, we look at the digital twin of the process and of production. So we consider those the realistic simulation and validation of the product, the machine, the line, and even of the complete plant, which gives you then a very strong foundation for flexible and efficient manufacturing. Seems to be kind of stuck. Bear with me a second. I hope that we don't jump on too many slides. You can still hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you, Siobhan.
Okay, great. So it has jumped on slides.
Yeah, a little bit too fast. Now we can see, but what does it really mean? That's what we see.
Yes. So yeah, I think I've skipped a slide here. I don't think it really matters. Yeah, so we've all heard about digital twin, obviously, because we're here today. But what I want to look at is what it really means for the manufacturing world and what it actually looks like. The slides are really not behaving very well for me today. Just bear with me a moment. So in what it means, just while I get those slides up, what I want to do is to look at the types of digital twin that we operate within Siemens and how those can be applied across all of the stages of the pharmaceutical product and process value chain. Mm-hmm. So we have a comprehensive portfolio of simulation and digital twin tools. So those start at the design stage. So to make if you're setting out to make your design better, whether that is the product itself. So I'm going to give just some examples here today of I suppose the level of granularity that you can go to from very small up to very large. So within the design stage for our products or for pharmaceutical products, we have solutions like Coolgy, which are used for drug and product development, and they're focused at the atomic and molecular level, looking at how the specific material or molecule that you're manufacturing will behave in certain conditions. We have a solution called AMASIM, which is a system simulation tool that virtually assesses and optimizes how the overall system performs. A solution called STAR CCM Plus is a 3D simulation and computational fluid dynamics solution that allows you to design your equipment for better drug manufacturing, for clean room design, and so on, used often at the individual piece of equipment level. We have a solution called G-Proms or G-Formulate from Siemens PSE, which is used for mechanistic modeling. So combining some of the data that you already have and mechanistic and really first principles models to look at the process design and behavior. So once you understand the molecule, once you understand the design that you're going to be making, what is the best way to design your piece of equipment? How is that going to perform under different conditions? And then by combining each of those, you can come up with ever more complex twins of what you're doing. So for example, by combining data from Coolgy and STAR CCM Plus, you can come up with a very, very detailed process design. By combining something like G-Proms and STAR CCM Plus, you can model simple and detailed process behavior. And then you can combine all of those again with another solution called HEEDS for exploring your design space and optimizing your design using any existing calculations that you have. So to make that a little bit more real, examples of these are where we have improved mixing processes using STAR CCM Plus. So improving yields, simulating yields with 3D flow and concentration fields for analysis, reducing the blend time by changing the design of the reactor or of the impeller within the reactor. And we've worked with the CPI in the UK to improve the performance of mixing and oxygen supply within bioreactors. Using some of those tools again, we produced the first digital twin of the vaccines process by focusing on a particular unit operation within the vaccines process using a microfluidics component, and we're able to model model and simulate the behavior of that prior to putting it into use. And I think that was in fact also the first use of microfluidics in a vaccines situation to improve the performance of the vaccine within the patient. What's important to consider here as well is that by doing all of this in silico, it has a really big impact on the speed at which you can conduct your research and development. So, for example, a piece of equipment can be designed and simulated before it's ever built. You can simulate experiments within the laboratory, for example, using your very advanced simulation like Coolgy, to understand how a drug will perform under certain conditions. And that becomes really important in two cases. One is reducing the time to market, and the other is reducing the cost of the research and development processes because of the basic cost of the raw materials and equipment needed for those experiments is significantly high. This is a way to reduce the overall cost of development and reduce the end cost to the patient. I think I have one more example here of the design digital twin where we worked with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to extend the life of vaccine vials by redesigning the carrier for those vials. Moving on to the engineering phase then. You are now in the stage where you're building your plant, and you want to know how to do that better, and how to simulate, how to make all of that happen faster. So using something like Commas Walk Inside, that's a very powerful virtual 3D visualization solution that allow you to access all of your plant information and the current status of your plant using 3D graphics. That will also allow you to walk through your entire plant at a virtual level using devices like VR glasses for immersive operator trainings. So ever before the plant has been constructed, your Commas Walk Inside immersive training simulator allows you to completely immerse your operators and your facility users in their future work environment. An XMCD is a mechatronic concept designer, so that allows you to build a virtual model of your machine. That uses existing 3D or CAD data that you have, and then applies kinematic and physics-based properties to those so that you can validate how they'll actually operate in the real world. And then SIMIT is a simulation platform that actually allows you to do comprehensive tests with your automation software and automation projects. So this is very useful at the design stage for accelerating your acceptance testing, your commissioning, and so on. It's also very useful in the real world plant where you want to get changes to your process control system and so on put through as quickly as possible. So benefits there in both the design stage and in the operational phase. And of course, things like Commas Walk Inside, excuse me, remain useful through the life of the twin and the life of the plant, because by keeping those continuously updated with how the plant is changing and developing, you then have the opportunity to train operators, for example, in a clean room situation without the risk of contamination and so on. So just a couple of examples then of those. We work very closely with Bausch and Strobel, the machine builder, where they have taken on the digital twin concept in their own design. So that allows them to test a concept and verify a concept very early on. It gives them increased flexibility in production. And in 2020, they lowered their overall engineering effort by 30%. So what they're doing here is they're working with their customers. They're offering this as a service to their customers so that customers can come in, they can co-create, they can design the equipment together. And then by building it in a virtual environment, first of all, they can use something like the 3D glasses that you see on the screen here to improve the ergonomics of the machine, to improve the performance of the machine, and optimize everything before it's ever sent to be built. And an example of a customer who has done this in the real world is here in Ireland with Genzyme Sanofi, who used the concept of technomatics to reduce the machine commissioning time based on a digital twin. So where machines may have a particularly long lead time, for example, it can be very useful to build that machine in a simulated environment, do all of your testing and commissioning, and have that design and all of that preparation ready before the machine comes to site. That then reduces the risk of delay with integrating and commissioning that machine into the real world. One other there is on SIMIT, as I discussed briefly. So here we sped up commissioning and reduced downtime by about 50% for a particular customer who was running SIMIT. Here it talks about PCS7, which of course is the Siemens process control system, and just to flag that doesn't need to be a Siemens process control, it can be any sort of automation system. So finally then, we come on to how we optimize our operations. And here we're moving from the left of the screen where we're looking at the atom and the molecule through to the design of the plant, and then to optimizing operations and looking at the large picture of how we model and simulate our production systems and our logistics processes so that we can optimize material flow and resource utilization. So that's across all levels of the plant, from local plants to specific production lines, and even across the entire global network. Technomatics Process Simulate will model and simulate your processes and how individual islands of your processes work together. And again, they interact with 3D software products. And then something like Asset Performance Suite, which is a plant asset management solution, will help you to support predictive maintenance, provide an opportunity for your assets to achieve the highest levels of reliability and efficiency. We also provide within PlantSight and a single portal that will bring together all of the information about your assets, integrating and visualizing those from any source, from 1D, 2D or 3D data, and all of those being updated in real time. So an example of how we've used some of those in practice is working with the CPI, again in the UK, which is the Centre for Process Innovation. We've leveraged the digital twin so we can engineer production and identify bottlenecks, and then combine that with paperless manufacturing and a QA dashboard, which is like a virtual quality assurance professional. So that is, just keeping an eye on the time, that's a whistle stop really of how we have approached digital twin within the pharmaceutical group of Siemens. We're focused on research and development, on manufacturing and on operations. And our ultimate aim is to support pharmaceutical manufacturers in bringing the highest quality drugs to patients as fast as possible, and supporting that personally through the use of digital twin across the end-to-end supply chain. And to, I suppose, reflect again on what I said at the outset, when you explore digital twin or any digital technology with your partners, your customers, your co-creators, think about the why. Are you looking to sustain the activities that you're already doing? Are you looking to become more efficient? Or are you really looking to transform how things are done in your industry and within your organization? So thank you for your attention. Thank you again for having me to your community day today. Please don't hesitate to reach out and discuss any of these solutions or any other aspect of digitalization in your organization. I'll hand back to the host, and I'm also happy to take any questions now or later on in the session.
Thank you very much, Yvonne. A great presentation. Well, in the interest of time, and even though I have a lot of questions now, we leave it for the end, okay, to the end. But it's very good that you have put into context the importance of the digital twin, which is not a new toy, as you were saying, right? Mm-hmm. And how it's so important, for example, in the development of vaccines and also to train operators as well, right? So that's great. I will have questions about the AI role because you were talking about the simulators there. But anyway, we leave it for the end. Okay. So thank you very much, Simone. Great presentation. Okay, let's go now with Cathal Hoare from I4 there. Whenever you're ready, Cathal, feel free to start sharing.
Thank you. So can you see my screen at that?
We can see Windows there.
Okay. Let me try it again.
The blue Windows logo there.
Yeah, so I think
it's another screen, right?
Yeah. So let us try this.
There it is. Yeah.
Excellent. So again, thanks very much for the introduction, and it's a pleasure to be here and part of such an exciting event. My own background is, despite many of the titles that you see associated with me, so senior energy systems engineer and so forth, but ultimately I'm a software engineer. Prior to coming back to academia, I'd spent several years, I won't say many years, but several years in software development in telecoms, and generally working in the area of data management. And basically leveraging that data so that we could get some extra value from it. As part of my work with iForm, I've been the lead developer of a decision support system that's essentially a recommender system that aims to ameliorate or reduce the effect of anomalies that are detected during additive manufacturing processes. And basically, we've implemented this as a recommender system, a rules-based recommender system that is informed by a digital twin. And in so doing, we actually created a digital twin that has many other applications. So we started trying to develop one thing, and we ended up with this really useful tool that has, at this stage, lots of different applications. So today I'd just like to talk a little bit about the area of additive manufacturing, the types of anomalies that can arise, the information that we're able to monitor, and then how we implemented that digital twin in order to produce the recommendations for the machine operators. So I think, as we heard from Siobhan, the idea of the digital twin, and I suppose that cyber physical connection that exists in so many forms of manufacturing now is becoming more prominent. It's not necessarily new, but I think we're beginning to realize different ways that we can use to leverage that information and take advantage of that information. And basically, that information describes everything from the design phase of some sort of a product through the manufacturing phase, part inspection, lifespan of the product itself, and its end of life as well. And that creates this sort of a virtual circularity where information from downstream can feed back and allow for iterative improvement of both product and process. And also then the idea that we're also able to feed information forward. So we're able to take information that we detect in the manufacturing in the in-process phase where the part is being manufactured, and that can be fed forward to inspection and quality assurance at a later point. So while our focus when developing the recommender system was primarily on producing a system that would inform a machine operator in process, in real time, oftentimes what we're finding now is that the information that we're generating as part of that process, it can also be used to inform other parts of the manufacturing life cycle. So just to talk a little bit about additive manufacturing, and again, I suppose as a software person, one of the most exciting aspects of this project for me has been to discover, all of these different facets and different domains and different disciplines that are involved in this type of work. Essentially, additive manufacturing, I guess we're familiar with the idea of 3D printing. It's essentially that, but in this case, we're dealing with printing components that are made out of more exotic materials such as titanium or metal alloys. We can see on the left-hand side here a medical implant, and there's lots of advantages from additive manufacturing in the production of these components. In terms of being able to create bespoke parts, being able to have more accurate measurements that will better suit the end user, you also see this lattice structure on this component, which can be designed to improve binding between tissues and the component itself. On the right-hand side, we see another application of additive manufacturing, and this is from Boeing, basically where they're creating a common satellite platform. So again, essentially a satellite bus system, which then can be customized, to various purposes. But again, Boeing finding that they're able to improve the structural integrity of their designs, but also finding that their manufacturing processes are more sustainable, essentially because they're able to print components like this as a single piece and not have to manufacture components like fasteners and brackets and other components, that would otherwise be required in other forms of manufacturing. The additive manufacturing process itself is quite interesting. We see one of these printers on the right-hand side. On the left, we see then a kind of a high-level diagram that describes the printing process. So essentially, these cabinets are a box full of control electronics, a build chamber, and then a large vat of powdered metal. So again, titanium alloy would be an example of that. And essentially, the process follows the following pattern. There's a build platform, a layer of powder is coated onto that build platform, and then a laser or some other form of high energy beam is used to center or melt that powder, and then that fuses the powder into some sort of a geometry, and then the build platform is lowered by a fraction, another layer of powder is overlaid, and the process is repeated. And then over the course of several hundred layers, typically the component is manufactured. And we can see an example. You can imagine from the quality of the video that this was shot by myself looking through the window of the printer, so apologies for the shadows and so forth. But again, we can see the lighter material there is the powder. We can see where the laser is melting that powder and is building up the geometry. However, we can also see some other issues here. We can see, for instance, if you look very closely when the laser is firing, you can see those sparks, and maybe if you're particularly eagle-eyed, you can also see a kind of a slight haze that's emanating. And that's essentially a soot, or it's known as splatter, which is material that's being thrown up by the melting process. Now, in the case of this quite simple geometry here, where we're just printing some test tokens, that's not a huge issue. But if you've got a more complex part, once that splatter starts falling back onto the powder, it starts changing the characteristics of the powder, the thickness of the powder. You've got, I suppose, semi-melted or semi-centered material that's falling back onto a layer, and that then can introduce different forms of anomaly, for instance, porosity, and over the course of several layers, that can introduce a defect into the part that's being printed. Other anomalies that can occur, obviously you can have issues with the hardware. So if your laser goes out of focus, you can have defects arise. So we can see here that there's lattice structure that's being printed. We can see that over the course of, say, 3 layers worth of printing, the issue is not very large, but once we get to 9 layers, we can see then that there's a distinct weakness being introduced into that lattice. Now, we can, of course, observe the process. These printer devices provide us with a wealth of information. And in the case of the Renishaw printer that we've been looking at, we can see, for instance, that we can receive information about the state of the laser, its power output, and we can also see then, so that will be the little orange box number 1, and then we've got points 4 and 5, which would be photodiodes. So those then are observing in different wavelengths the melt pool and characterizing that melt pool, giving us information back about the intensity of the melt pool. Now, this information displays the 3 V's, I guess, that we're familiar with in information management. So there's velocity to the information. We're printing many hundreds of layers. Usually we receive this information back as a batch of numeric data, so a large CSV file. And depending on the complexity of the part that's being printed, we'll receive this information maybe every 30 seconds to maybe a minute and a half. It depends on the area of the build plate that's being printed to. And this can, even for a relatively simple build where you've got like a 30-second per layer, you're still generating data for maybe 1.5 million laser points that translates maybe to 0.5 gigabyte of data coming at that rate. So there's both volume and velocity. And as we saw, there's also volatility. We need to analyze this information, and we need to make recommendations to the operator in a timely fashion, in as close to real time as we can, because as we saw in the previous slide, if an anomaly is allowed to develop over several layers, its implications become more severe. Whereas if we can make a recommendation and suggest how to ameliorate the effect of that anomaly, then that component, I suppose, its production process can be rescued, so as to speak. So, and again, apologies, but the computer scientist in me insisted on having some sort of an architecture diagram. This was essentially the structure of the system that we developed. Now, the recommender system component is essentially the inference engine and the decision support engine that we see to the right of this diagram. There are other elements in the database, such as rules, that inform that recommender system, but essentially everything else is our digital twin. We had a couple of overarching requirements when we were developing that digital twin. We required flexibility. So again, because we were developing this in an academic institute, we obviously were going to have several different pieces of work that were happening in parallel. So in terms of the forms of analysis that we can apply, we wanted to future-proof our architecture so that we could add new forms of analysis quite easily. So we developed the plug-and-play architecture to support that. We also have flexibility in terms of the type of hardware that we can consume information from, the forms of analysis that we can apply to that data as we receive it. And also in terms of the observations that we can make. We can define particular volumes of the component that's being printed, and we can apply particular types of analysis to those through the use of data streams. So as we take data and ingest it from the physical component, we parse that information onto a data stream, and it's subdivided and passed then, depending on which volume of or which component of the build is being represented, it streams that towards one or more analysis modules. The fact that one or more analysis modules can look at that information means we can then have effectively a voting system between those analysis modules. So we can define quite complex rules that look at patterns over the course of several layers, or look at results that are being received from one or more analysis modules for that particular layer. So we can have a voting system in order to have assurance in the forms of analysis that we're applying. And we also wanted to have flexibility for the operator. So this was, I suppose, an example. It's playing a little bit faster than the real print occurred, but each of these layers that's being represented here was received maybe every 30 seconds, and we were analyzing and getting results back to the operator within 14 seconds. So our goal was to ultimately produce results before the following layer had completed. So in this case, we're looking at an intentional drop in laser energy. We engineered it in just for the test case. And we can see that this particular pattern has been detected over the course of 3 layers. And we had defined a rule then that said, if this anomaly had occurred over a series of layers, that we could then issue a more stringent or a higher grade operator should take in order to resolve the developing issue. So that's a little flavor of our digital twin. Again, the domain that we're operating in, the requirements that we had for our system, and an insight to the architecture that we ended up developing, I suppose, at the lower level implementation of the twin and recommender system. So again, I'll be enjoying the rest of the talks, and I think we'll be available at the end of that to answer any questions that you might have.
Very good, Cathal. Thank you very much. Very interesting. As I said, I'm going to leave the questions for the end, right? But I have some questions there on this inference engine that you have there. But anyway, now, thank you very much. Let's go with Adrian Mullen, Senior Commercialization Manager in CeADAR, who will explain a little bit about the CeADAR and the services that can provide to the SMEs and multinationals.
Good stuff. Thanks, Ricardo. Can you see my screen and hear me?
Yeah, we can see the screen and the title of the center. Perfect.
Excellent. Well, there's a bit more than that. So thanks very much. So I'll take about 10 minutes of your time. As said, as Ricardo said, I'm Senior Commercialization Manager here. So my own background is in financing tech companies, Deutsche Bank and Bank of Ireland. And I've been CeADAR just over a month. So really enjoyed the previous presentation, especially the around 3D printing. So I remember visiting a company that did 3D printing, and the guy had made a 3D version of his own head, which was on the desk, but it's good to see that it's been used for more productive purposes. But so to come to CeADAR, so we are Ireland Centre for Applied, and the key thing is applied artificial intelligence, that we're at that higher level of technology readiness. And we are funded by the government, by two key agencies, Enterprise Ireland and the IDA, established 2013, and we have 50 staff based in University College Dublin. So really just what I want to cover in these few minutes is a bit about who we are, but more kind of on what we do. I'll reference some of the projects that we've done. So if we think of our membership, it's 80 members. We've large corporates, so version 1 Bank of Ireland and multinational firms as well, and then SMEs. So we have 80 members. And then we have key involvement, as Ricardo was talking about earlier, with the wider ecosystem. So whether that's with the DIH-World and various involvements and things like OECD, GPAI committees and so forth. But moving on, so our expertise is obviously across range of different areas. So deep learning, machine learning, so on, everything on the slide there. We obviously, well, that's kind of the functional part. In terms of industries, we cover all of the key industries. Obviously, data-intensive businesses such as financial services. I'm going to speak a bit more about a project we've done there, but really in everything as well. So we've done projects in food processing, we've done meats, and we've done projects that even cross two different industries, law and financial services, which I'll talk about in a moment. So how are we different? As we all know, like the world and its mother is kind of piled into AI now. Well, I suppose we've been doing this for 10 years. We are much more in the kind of market ready focus in AI rather than kind of pure research. And another thing I think companies find very valuable in dealing with us is that while they seek to maximize their profits, we are not for profits. We're not a consulting house trying to sell more and more and more. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's not our model. So there's a degree of independence, and there's also we're not aligned with any tech stack, or we're vendor agnostic. Okay, and the key final part is our ability to access funding. So when you think about like projects that we've done with various firms, we're provisioned at accessing the key government funding schemes that are available, such as the Disruptive Technologies Innovation Fund, and there's a live call for that ending at the end of May. That can unlock millions of additional government funding. So what do we do? I mean, there's a couple of different areas, but I'm really just going to focus on what I think is of interest to you today is technology services, placement programs. So if we think of technology services, there's a couple of different aspects to that. I mean, there is, if you think about how you're doing a project, we can run scoping workshops, project definition, broader kind of AI strategy, and then, substantively working over years, or months to help you develop out a full solution with partners. Okay, so we're not a code house per se, but we can work alongside partners to develop a full solution. So here are just some of the projects. I'm not going to go through them all, conscious of time, But if we take one that I think is really interesting, because I think if we look at the company we worked with, it's called Caralytics, who are a venture capital backed firm. So I think that shows, our ability to work with progressive, high growth dynamic firms. And we also worked with SinglePoint, who are a really good IT services house, who are now part of version 1. And one of our scientists, David Lillis, who's actually has a background in law as well as data science, leveraging some of the research he had done around BERT and other topics, worked with Caralytics. And what Caralytics do, they basically ensure that fintechs and banks are up to date with the latest regulation. So if there's a new version of the FCA handbook or something that says banks need to do a certain activity when dealing with the derivative, Caralytics platform will help them ensure that they're in compliance with it. So David and the team here worked with Caralytics alongside SinglePoint. The interesting part about this is also that it was under the Disruptive Technologies Innovation Fund. So that is typically where the government is funding up to 50% of the company's costs. And it's eligible not just to Enterprise Ireland clients, but also IDA clients. So it's a really good mechanism to facilitate collaboration, but also significantly reduce the cost to the corporate. So that's just one I think is worth calling out. If we think of the second piece, I think is relevant to this audience is placement programs. So there's a number of those. Our colleague Arsalan Shahid runs the CeADAR Connect program. I think it's a really clever program, because you can basically get a data scientist under supervision of a senior data scientist for increments of 3 to 6 and 9 months. So it's essentially de-risked. You're also getting that whole supervisory piece of a data scientist at a significantly reduced cost if you're going to be dealing with a Accenture and EY. There's a work-ready graduate programs, Enterprise Ireland, and then the Marie Curie programs, which are heavily subsidized. And I think those programs run in cycles. And I think the work-ready graduate program is about to start another cycle there again. But for any of this stuff, please get in touch with me directly, and happy to take it up. So they're the training programs. We also, alongside that, do training for our members. So that might be on a kind of a more specific technical topic, whether that's language models. We hold more kind of business type talks. Like, so tomorrow for our members, which Terry Landers, who's one of the senior ex-Microsoft person, is going to be talking about how to set an AI strategy. So we're not just looking to deal with the data scientists in an organization. We're also, looking to talk to other stakeholders in terms of more on the more pure business side. So that's tomorrow's talk. And they're just some of the other examples of training programs that we've run or are running. Okay, so just conscious of time. So obviously I talked about the DTIF. That's the thing we did with Caralytics. And I think the important thing there is that we know these funding mechanisms really well. It's kind of our bread and butter, accessing them. So that's another kind of thing we bring to the table is the ability to access those schemes, not just in Ireland, but also in Europe. So if we look at a range of these, here's some more of these projects that we've done. So, if you think we were talking about fintech, we've also worked with, Dawn Farms and Creme Global, which is a kind of in the food industry space. We've worked in supply chain. We've worked across various other verticals, as you can see, and that's the benefit of 10 years having that market-facing approach. So, just to conclude then, and obviously, that the kind of slide tells us, technology services, if you think that's us doing Caralytics, placement programs, it's the kind of the de-risked, high-value data scientist as a service, training, that's really, on the business side or technology side, the funding and partnerships I just spoke about. So the assets and resources, we obviously, for our members, we have access to a Leon supercomputer. There's a number of demonstrators and prototypes, which you can around specific areas of AI that our members are able to access the code for that. There's a maturity assessment tool where you can, based on the questions, see where you are in your AI journey. And there's various other things, including an AI news hub, a YouTube channel, everything like that. So we have 80 members. We're always keen to have new members, but we're also very keen to re-engage with our existing members. So really enjoyed hearing the talks earlier. And if anyone has any questions and wants to get in touch, circulate my details to the attendees in due course. So that's me. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much, Adrian, for this comprehensive review of all the CeADAR services there. So I hope everyone, particularly industry here, have really had like a feel of what a DIH is, a Digital Innovation Hub, and how we can actually help you there with particularly the adoption of AI, digital twins, and so on. Okay, so thank you, Adrian. Thank you very much.
Cool.
Okay, so now we go to John O'Gorman, who has made a particular effort to be with us here today, all the way from the States. Not that he lives there, but he has to be there, right, today. So thank you very much, John. We appreciate the effort. So whenever you're ready, you can start sharing your screen.
Sure. How much time do I have?
Well, go with the 15 minutes if you want.
Okay, I'll try and do it quicker. Okay, so S3, my name is John O'Gorman. I'm the Principal Technology Officer for S3 Connected Health on data science and cybersecurity. Basically, we are involved in a number of different areas. The main one for me is connected medical devices. Also software as a medical device applications, and then general digital health solutions. We work primarily in medtech with med technology companies, and also with the pharmaceutical industry around the management of their medications and how they are delivered to patients. This is kind of the marketing stuff, but I will take a few seconds on it. We have a consulting division, we have a technology decision, we have a quality management division. We're able to take a customer from a prototype all the way to launching a product on the market. We have our own product range, Affinio, and we have full development capabilities to support any medical device that might be needed. Just with data in the healthcare industry is extraordinarily complex. It may surprise some of you to know, but on one project that I'm working on at the moment, which is to do with the menopause, about 3% of women between the ages of 45 and 55 experience the menopause, according to hospital healthcare data from the United States. And that figure is accurate. It just doesn't tell us what we think it should be telling us. So these are constantly the surprises that we're seeing with healthcare data. The reason that we're involved in connectivity is that it's very difficult to connect. There's a lot going on in medical devices. Usually they are isolated, and medical professionals can't get that data quickly enough. They can't get it interpreted to be able to affect the clinical decision-making process. Digital twins have become a very important part in simplifying the collection of that data, and most importantly, the use of that data. This is an application that S3 developed back in 2020. It was, I think it's Enodatus for COVID-19. It was deployed in all of the 4 major centers for treating COVID in Ireland, Beaumont, James's, Tala, UCC, a few others. The idea was that there was going to be an awful lot of doctors who didn't know how to manage respiratory care. And they were going to need some kind of guidance from respiratory specialists in what they were seeing when they were treating a patient. We developed an index which allowed us to accurately predict how a patient's disease was going to progress, particularly at the stage where they were in a hospital but hadn't moved to an ICU. So we developed a novel index based on standard respiratory indexes that allowed us to predict how COVID would progress. COVID was a weird disease in that it doesn't operate like any other respiratory disease. Most are progressive diseases. This one had a sinusoidal jump in the middle of it. We developed a digital twin that was capturing information from a mobile app and from a number of devices. It was modeling the patient. It was capturing all of the events and the state changes in the disease with the patient. It was also allowing that to be socialized to senior clinicians that didn't have to walk up to a patient in those kind of gowns. And there was a quicker turnaround of decision-making around the treatment for the patient. The main effect of that was that we were able to create a data platform that could then be used to generate a predictive model of how the treatment would unfold. And just medicine is full of indexes. This is the news index. The weight with the blue line that you see there is the news index that's used in the Irish healthcare system for predicting the outcome of patients. It's performed when a patient's admitted. It was very poor at being able to predict the outcome of COVID. And we were able to replace it with the CCCI, which was created with the Royal College of Surgeons and UCD, which gave us a better prediction based on the data that we were collecting. It was substantially better. And this one then went on to feed into the scheduling reports that were used in the hospital for predicting that how many patients we're going to get in ICU. Personally, the thing that I'm most proud that this index did is that it kept some patients out of ICU. It was able to tighten up the decision making around the disease progression, and doctors then understood that a patient was borderline, but borderline to stay in a normal ward. And it's hard on people to be in an ICU. So the more people you can keep out of it and let recover by their body's own natural processes, the better. This is another one we work on. We didn't do the data science for this, but we did the data engineering for it. This is an implantable brain sensor, brainwave sensor, EEG. It goes into it's surgically implanted beneath the skull of a patient. It collects 3.5 gigabits of data from the patient's brainwaves per day across, I think it's 32 different tracks. And we get that back out to the cloud. As the data is streaming in, we're able to make a prediction on whether the patient will have an epileptic seizure that day or not. This gives patients with particularly severe forms of epilepsy the opportunity to plan their day more successfully, to know whether they'll be able to drive, to know whether they'll be able to go to work, whether they need help on that day. But again, we see this idea that a vast amount of data, 3.5 gigabits of data per patient, is not easy to move around the place, to centralize it and then analyze it. And the digital twin allows us to put it all in one place and then be able to carry out the predictive models that we need on it to get the answers that they need. This is a project that I've been working on for the last 5 or 6 years. Not able to say who the vendor is. There's an anonymized version of the more detailed case study up on our website if anybody's interested. What we did is a respiratory class 2 and 3 medical devices for respiratory distress in premature and neonatal babies. Also for some middle-aged heart attack victims. What we were able to do there, what we had to do there is this is one of the devices that we took all the way from prototype to imminent market launch. What that's able to do is track everything that's happening in a treatment to a patient by delivering a medication. It's able to track the responses of the patient to that medication. We're able to get that all back up in the cloud. We're able to watch what's happening to the device. We're able to watch how the treatment is being administered, the amount of medication that's being consumed. We have devices uniquely identified. We have the medication batches and lots uniquely identified. And then we're able to get all that back to a digital twin and be able to support decision-making across the entire enterprise about what a pharma company needs to do to be able to manage that medication. So the kind of data streams that you see within that is one, manufacturing. How do you build the device? How do you make the drug? How do you build the device and label it with what's called the UUID? This is a globally unique registry of all medical devices. So every device as it's manufactured is assigned that, and then that's used as a basis for all of its communication back with its device cloud. We have to now, with increasing regulations, we have to track security much better. We have to know what happens to that device. We have to know if there's a possibility that there's been attack. We get that back out to the digital twin, and then most importantly, the treatment logs. When's the medication used? How successfully were the outcomes on it? Get all of that back, and then use that for other purposes within the organization. The main ones are customer support. Does a hospital or home need more medication delivered to it? Are they running low? Product support. Has something gone wrong with the device? What went wrong with the device? How do we inform the clinical staff what they need to do to get it back on track? And supply chain. how much medication are you producing, where are you keeping it, and how fast is it being consumed, and how quickly do you need to get more medication out there. No medical talk or healthcare talk is complete without some mention of standards. So if you're looking at healthcare, make sure that an organization has an ISO 27001 standard. If you're not familiar with these, that means that they're able to run these applications and run your digital twin, all of the ecosystem that's collecting information for the digital twin, they're able to run it properly. 13485 is the quality system. That means they're able to build it properly. Okay, thanks, Ricardo. I'll hand back over to you. You're on mute.
Jesus, now I have to repeat all the things that I was saying there.
After all the
But
time
anyway,
I saved you, Ricardo.
no, yeah, that's true. You maybe I keep quiet now. But anyway, thank you very much. As always, very useful, right? And particularly important there, or remarkable, the importance of the digital twins in COVID, right? You know, and the application that you did there.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
prevent
It's
there
important to
from
be. Patients are complex. It's a good way of summarizing all of the data from all of the different possible sources to be able to make decisions about them clearly.
Yeah, and as a sandbox kind of environment there, I
Yeah.
would say. Okay, so thank you. We'll leave questions then for the end. And then now, moving on, I think we have Sotiris, Dr. Sotiris Makris there from University of Patras on the way there, and LMS DIH, right, Sotiris? Hello, how are you doing? You're muted, Sotiris.
Hello, yes. I realize that. Thanks a lot, Ricardo, for organizing that and inviting us to share our experiences. What we heard so far is extremely interesting, and there are many opportunities for collaboration. Thanks a lot. And of course, I have with me also Nikos Dimitropoulos, and now I'm going to start sharing my screen.
Very good.
We are going to hopefully to share this presentation together. Now probably you can see my slide.
Yeah, we can see it now.
So I'm coming from the Western Greece, from LMS, and I'm going to talk to you about how the Digital Innovation Hub related activities are working in our area, and how we have had some experiences, and we will have some practical examples. Always we have in mind the frame of services around the idea of Digital Innovation Hub, which is mainly to support manufacturing companies, and our focus is on technologies on AI, advanced manufacturing, and Industry 4 technologies. And the main areas of support are the test before invest, skilling, training, supporting organizations to find investment, and also networking and ecosystem building. The two particular organizations I will mention today are both located in the West, in the Western Greece. The main one is LMS, and LMS has been established in the 90s. That's a lab of manufacturing system and automation, and is mostly working in pan-European level cooperation in projects funded by the European Commission mainly, but also by manufacturing companies. And LMS also working tightly with high-tech companies. And in addition to that, there is a newer organization which is called the Teaching Factory Competence Center, located also in Patras, and I will explain to you how these two things are working together. Again, briefly, LMS has three main areas of development and research. And these areas are the area of manufacturing processes, modeling, and energy efficiency. Then the second area is robotics, automation, and virtual reality in manufacturing, which is the area that I have the pleasure to lead. And then there is a third area that is mostly focused on manufacturing systems and IoT systems. So over these 30 years of development, there have been a lot of research results developed in LMS. And for this reason, LMS has teamed up with manufacturing and technology companies and established a new center, a competence center. And the center is called the Teaching Factory Competence Center, which embraces all the technologies I mentioned before. And there is a new physical facility focused mostly on how to transfer results from research to the industry. And it is done through a number of services, starting from training, then technical implementation, also complemented by consulting, and also giving links to other European initiatives, like, for example, the EIT manufacturing. So in a nutshell, that is how these two organizations complement together. LMS is more focused on high-tech research, and Teaching Factor Competence Center is helping to transfer results to the industry. And looking also the map view, that's the area in the Western Greece that the hub and the competence center, the lab, and overall the hub is operating. And there are different areas around Greece that are covered. And of course, altogether, this is connected through this multi-annual work that I mentioned, through a number of hubs, universities, and other organizations that we work with over these years. So overall, this is the frame of how we are operating. We would like to share with you, and I would like here to invite Nikos to share as an example of how we use this service to develop a digital twin system for one of the companies we are cooperating. I will stop sharing. So there is a company, an SME in proximity to Patras. It's most actually closer to Athens. This company is producing thermosyphonic systems, solar panels, for hot water production, and you will see here how we use collaborative robotics to support the operations. Nikos, I hope you have.
Yes, yes. Thanks a lot, Sodis, for the introduction. I hope that you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So as Sotiris mentioned, first of all, I'm Nikos Dimidopoulos from LMS. I'm a senior researcher working on topics related to robotics, automation, and virtual reality in manufacturing. So in this example, we are going to see the usage of digital twins towards development of advanced human-robot collaborative applications. We started in the past with scenarios that had robots inside fences, established by fences, and operators outside these fences. So either the robots or the operators could be inside this area and work inside these restricted areas. Then we shifted towards a fenceless approach, where we remove the fences and we are able to monitor the workspace using virtual fences. And then we have this example where we were going to use advanced digital twins in order to achieve it. And this example allows not only sharing of space, but also sharing of parts. This means that the operators can work together with the robots, not only sharing space, but also sharing tasks. So this is, in order to achieve it, we start with the human in the middle of the production. The operator is the leader of this collaboration. Then we bring a number of robotic resources to actively assist, like high payload robots, low payload robots, skeletons, and mobile robots. And then we are developing technology, we are bringing technology that will facilitate the interaction among the resources, but also provide advanced cognition capabilities. So we should be able to perceive the environment and the actions that the operators are performing. These data are fed into digital twins and processed in order to facilitate the decision making. And last but not least, we need to ensure safety. So our solution should be safe to use. So as I mentioned before, the digital twin, as you can see here, we have quite a number of examples showing the individual solutions like augmented reality assisted production, autonomous navigation of robots, perception of the environment, calculation and evaluation of ergonomics, real-time adaptation of robot behavior, detection of assembly errors, in production, programming of robots, training using virtual reality, recognition of human activity. So all these solutions are possible thanks to the digital twin that uses data from the real environment, adapts and updates a virtual model. And using this model, we're able to perform a number of simulations and enable the rest of the technologies that I mentioned here. So we foresee the digital twin. We see the digital twin as the mastermind of the cell. This solution facilitates the decision making. It uses sensors from the shop floor. It uses these sensors. It can allow visualization of the status of the cell from a remote location. We are also using it in order to plan the robot path and generate collision-free robot trajectories. We can simulate alternative layouts and also alternative assignments of tasks and actions for the various resources. We can simulate ergonomics and adapt the robot pose accordingly, but also perform safety assessments related to safety and adjustments related to safety. So we applied this advanced paradigm into a use case from the domestic water, from the renewable energy sector. The end user is Calpac, a Greek company that produces solar panels for domestic water heating. And up until now, operators had to lift these panels. As you can see here, they had to lift them, manipulate them inside the shop floor, and then perform a number of assembly tasks and actions, installing various small components on top of the panels. And these operations posed some ergonomic issues due to the weight of this panel. And our vision was to use high payload collaborative robot that will manipulate and perform the heavyweight lifting, lift the panel, present it to the operator so that the operator could install the smaller component that will require some kind of human dexterity. Here you can see a video with this robot installed at the factory of the end user. We perform piloting activities over there, and you can see the robot grabbing the panel directly from the assembly line, presenting this panel to the operator so that he or she can install the rest of the components on top of it. And as you can see on the top right corner of your screen, we have the digital twin that automatically constantly updates its status based on what is happening right now at the shop floor. And this is being used to generate collision-free robot trajectories, improve the ergonomics of the operator by adapting the robot pose and presenting it in a different way to the operator. And the operator can perform the rest of the assembly steps with the help of augmented reality based instructions. So what we saw over there after testing the system and performing a number of evaluation studies involving operators and engineers, we saw that this digital twin-enabled robotic system can help to improve ergonomics, but also reduce the maximum weight that is being manipulated from the operators from 42 kilograms to about 2 kilograms. We saw also a reduction in cycle time from around 7 minutes to 5 minutes. But last but not least, we saw that employment of operations with restrictions is now possible. We had some operators that had some kind of restrictions, disabilities, and they could not lift weight. So we demonstrate that this solution is allows now the employment of these operators in this production line. And the feedback received by the operators was quite positive. So this sums up this story.
Thank you, Nikos. And then we can then conclude this presentation. So that has been an explanation and a demonstration of how digital twins can be used to optimize and improve processes. And then coming to the teaching factory activities, this set of research results has helped to identify and develop and deliver to the industry a couple of services. I will only show two over here. So this is a training service, as you can see here, that is called Health and Safety in the context of Industry 4, that is helping industry to assess health and safety aspects, and also how to use digital technologies and virtual reality to optimize the design of workplaces. And the next one is a service that is focused on collaborative robots, that again starts with the education and training of industrial companies on how to design and how to develop and implement actually collaborative robotic cells. Of course, that's what comes as a conclusion, is that these advanced technologies cannot be just sold as off-the-shelf solution, but it needs some continuous cooperation with skilled people, and this can be done through training and continuous support. So that is our presentation, and thanks a lot for the time you have given us, and I hope that has been interesting.
Oh, very interesting, Sotiris and Nikos. Thank you very much. Very informative, and it's good to know that you have a huge effort in teaching. You know, digital twins for teaching there, right?
Thank you. Yes.
You don't see it all the time, so that's great. Okay, we'll have the questions later. Okay, because I have a couple of them as well. So thank you very much, Sotiris, Nikos. Okay, so now finally we have Alireza Mingani. You're there, right, Alireza? How are you doing?
Good, thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to talk about the AI for digital twins as a lighthouse project in CeADAR. So whenever you're ready, Alireza, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm ready. I suppose you will have my screen and my audio.
Yeah.
Very good. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for, giving me this opportunity to represent the CeADAR Lighthouse project, particularly this one, AI Digital Twin. And I hope you will enjoy that. I'm the last presenter, but I promise you will enjoy that. That would be a lot of fun. Don't worry about it at all. Okay. So the Lighthouse project in general is a rebranded version of the demonstrator project we used to have in CeADAR. Over there, we used to implement a technical demonstrator around the technology or a few months and just license it to the members. But later, last year, we decided to rebrand it to Lighthouse project, to instead of doing that, trying to show something. So it's not just the focus of this project is not just developing a technical demonstrator, but it is to help members to understand an emerging technology. We have started the first season last year. In the first season, actually, we have started with two projects, self-supervised learning and privacy-preserving machine learning. If you do a capture of the screen now or scan it now or scan later from the video, anyway, you will have access to QR code that lands you to all the materials we have created for this project. You can have access to all the videos and the course we have created for this project and that project. They have been successful project, and members have really enjoyed that. In the second season, which we have started from February, we circulated a lot of forms to the members and asked them to suggest the ideas. Then we shortlisted the ideas, sent back to the members and asked them to vote for them. And finally, based on the votes, everything, we decided to work on these two technologies, AI digital twin as it is trending, and also graph convolutional network, which is really interesting topic we are working on. Again, If you scan this QR code, you will be able to see the materials and content that we have by far developed, and we will develop and attach to the end of the list. So what is the goal of AI Digital Twin Lighthouse projects in this season over the next 6 months? Like I said, we are here to provide the member with educational materials to speed up the learning curve. I mean, if you want to do that yourself in your company, you need to spend a lot of time, search a lot of things. We try to digest the materials and provide the member with digested material, which is much faster. So we explore a lot of industry use cases and again, provide the members with a digested version to understand how they can be inspired from the use cases and replicate it in their business. Again, we will develop some sort of the quick and short technology demonstrators. Then again, they can replicate it and use it in their industry and business. We are working on developing an AIDT digital discovery plan for the nominated members. Already we have started working with 4 members. It has been really successful, helping them to understand how they can immigrate actually AI digital twin into the industry. We will have monthly AIDT technical discussion panels. The topic of that would be inviting some of guys like you to present simple project you have, sample project you have developed or research you have implemented, etc. That would be a very good base to discuss the trending topic, challenges, etc. We'll invite you all to this discussion panels, and also we'll have a newsletter and community to help whatever we are doing in this actually project. In terms of the material, educational material we have created, by far we have created 3 videos. If you can scan this QR code, you will get to the playlist of these videos. We have explained what is the AI digital twin, why we should use AI digital twin and how, and also some use cases in the healthcare we have reviewed and explained and compared, etc. This process is ongoing. Every second week, every 2 weeks, we will have a new video out there explaining a specific angle of implementation and adaptation of AI digital twin in different sectors and different businesses. So you can follow us on that. Also, like I said, we will have technical panels. I just explained that. I won't go through that slide anymore. One interesting thing that we have done by far is one-on-one meeting with the CeADAR members. So the members who are interested in the topic, I know some of the members are in the call. If you are interested, please send me email, my first name last name @ucd.ie. So we will arrange it to have a meeting with you, get some requirement from your side, get 1-2 pages of problem statement, and then we will get back to you with 2 things. One thing, we will provide you with the blueprint, AI blueprint, which is kind of the next step toward adaptation of AI digital twin in your problem, in your business. And also, if it is applicable, we will try to implement a demonstrator using the graph convolutional network technology, which is really appealing and interesting. We have already started doing that, and the results have been really successful. So that could be kind of a digital discovery phase for the members. Like I said, we have already started with 4 members. It has been really fruitful. They have been happy. The second season of Lighthouse Project has been more productive than the first season by this decision, and I hope we will have more than of that. We are going to automate that process. I mean, we want to automate like the first, second step of the process, and then afterward we can continue everything. Yeah, like I said, we have done that with a few members from different sectors, like one from healthcare centers, one from media centers, one from computer services members, and the finance members that we have already worked with. Very similar to the first season of the Lighthouse Project, which we have created some courses. This course for the SSL, this course for PPML, 8 lectures, 4 of them theoretical and 4 of them practical, and also for two free courses in here. We have the plan to create other courses in these 2 projects. Based on our experience, we won't want to run it in summer. Hopefully end of August, early September, when everyone come back from the holiday you will have the chance to enroll the course and attend it for free. Definitely, we will start promoting it early August. So if you join the newsletter, we'll let you know what is the story and you can join the course. I want to quickly review some of the outcome of the research and the study that we have done by far. So the first step of implementation and adaptation of AI digital twin is to define the objective. What is the objective of using that AI digital twin? Do you want to create some sort of command to send back to the process? Do you want to create some insight for decision makers to make any decision? Do you want to monitor any process or what? So that's one of the most important aspects in implementing in any AI project, as well as AI digital twin. So object is very important, and it actually enforce the rest of the process. In terms of data management, like John mentioned, there are a lot of challenges in acquisition of the data, cleaning and management of the data, and circulating the data across the project. So you need to make sure how you manage large amount of data. You need to ensure accuracy, reliability, and being up to date of the data. You need to take care of collecting, integrating, processing, and analyzing data, and also ensuring data security and privacy. In some of the use cases, such as bankings or healthcare, etc., it is really important to consider the privacy. In the privacy preserving machine learning project we did in season 1, you will have the chance to get familiar with some aspect of privacy when you deal with the data. In terms of ML approach selection, you know, there are loads of ML algorithm and approaches and so on over there. So you need to exactly take care of the algorithm you select. A key component of AI digital twin is the backend of AI digital twin, where you have kind of machine learning algorithm to model, to do predictive analysis, to do anything else. Something similar, allowing the digital twin to simulate and predict the behavior of physical system. Like I said, it's really crucial. Ensure that the algorithm are well suited. It doesn't mean necessarily you need to have a really deep learning network, etc. Sometimes a decision tree would be sufficient, you know. So you need to take care of that. You need to consider everything to make sure you want to do that. And also your team is really important. You need to take care of, if you have the team in-house, if you want to outsource it. Thankfully, CeADAR, like Adrian mentioned, has a lot of support in that sense. You don't need to build the team in-house, at least in the first steps. So afterwards, you can also, CeADAR can help you in terms of talent acquisition and forming the teams, etc. So that's very important. As other important aspects of that, integration is another thing you need to consider when you are implementing and adapting AI digital twin. Integrating IGT with existing system and process is really important. Need to fit into complex and interdependent systems. So you need to consider what is the structure of your company and product, etc. And definitely would need some help in here. You need to consider and establish clear protocols and standards for, you know, managing the data, acquiring the data, circulating the data, and so on. Need to develop training and support resources for employees. That's again the responsibility of business and company to consider that. Regulatory compliance, John mentioned some of them in his presentation. Actually, ISO regulatory things are available there. The specific industry-specific standard and requirement also available. You should consider that, ensure that any collected process data by AIDT is properly secured and protected. You know, data leakage is really important aspect in here. Business can mitigate risk and ensure that AIDT is being used in a responsible and ethical ways. That's if it is explainable, the algorithm you select, particularly in some of the cases like the healthcare, explainability is really important. If the decision that AI makes in the digital twin is something explainable or not. Okay, graph convolutional network that we are doing in the other Lighthouse project is really helpful toward explainable AI, because it looks at the data because of some relationship there is available already in the data. So it increases the explainability of the data. Okay, you need to consider that. Future of AI digital twin is clear to everyone. If it is not to you, it is really crazy application over there, but growing the technology, we would be able to see that even in the situation and use cases that we won't imagine. The topic of this event is about the manufacturing, AIDT in manufacturing, but I'm really obsessed with AIDT in social science. Imagine the situation, you have a digital copy of yourself, so you can understand how your productivity and personal growth would happen in the future with the input you fit in your life. I mean, the book, the number of books you read, etc. How about your health, if there's a digital copy of yourself, etc. So the future is really bright, and it appeals a lot of investment in the businesses and so on. Like I said, we have created a newsletter in here to share everything with the members. You need to just scan this QR code and you will be able to see this page. If you don't want to scan anything, that's lhpcedar.substack.com. Lighthouse Project, lhp.substack.com. You will see this page, put your email in here, and it will send you a lot of updates in terms of everything we are doing in the Lighthouse Project. And also we have a community in CeADAR. Again, if you scan, I know that's a lot of QR code, but sorry about that. I wanted to share the links. That's the only way I could facilitate it. If you scan this, you will be able to go to community.cedar.ie. That's where you can join, and you will share everything we are doing under the cover in CeADAR, so you can know what our engineers are doing. That's all. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation, and happy to answer the question and collaborate with you guys in any situations.
Very good, Alireza. Well done. Very informative there about digital twins, what we do there. Very good. Any other thing from the panelists? Any other thing from the audience there? Raise hands. Somebody wants to say something. Okay, I think it has been a very informative event, at least for me. Great speakers, from different organizations there. But before we go, let me play a nice video for you, 2 minutes, and then go and enjoy the rest of your afternoon or evening. So just let me share your screen. This is about the DIH-World project, and then we'll wrap up, okay? You can hear it now?
The world is always moving, always changing. Keep up transforming your organization digitally and stay ahead. Improve your processes, products, and services through digital technologies, and you will increase profits, increase agility, improve productivity, increase visibility, move faster. Digital innovation hubs are not-for-profit, one-stop shops that support companies, in particular SMEs and public organizations, in their digital transformations. SMEs can benefit from digital innovation hubs to better understand how to improve their processes, products, and services through digital technologies. DIH-World aims to accelerate the uptake of advanced digital technologies by European manufacturing SMEs in all sectors by supporting them in building sustainable competitive advantages and reaching global markets. DIH-World strengthens the capacities of regional DIHs, particularly in underrepresented regions across Europe. The project is coordinated by CASA and supported by Intellera Consulting, Improve, Innovalia Association, URADA, and CBT. In addition, the project involves 27 digital innovation hubs from 26 countries and 8 SMEs from 6 countries to develop 8 pilot experiments. The aim is to grow the community to include more than 73 DIHs and 54 SMEs. To reach this goal, DIH-World is launching 2 open calls for consortium seeking innovative experiments conducted by 1 SME, 1 DIH. The first one took place in April 2021 and added 28 experiments to the project. And the second one in April 2022 and will add 18 experiments. Information on the open call will be presented during the Community Days events in 26 countries across Europe, organized by all the DIHs, in order to connect DIHs with their ecosystems. From 17th to the 28th of April 2023, You will get experiences and cases in this double transition and how DIHs can help you with this procedure through their services. Don't think twice. Act.
Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. Thanks for attending today. Hope it was useful. Bye-bye.